Grammarly now uses AI to help you write, not just revise.
Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. It's been like over a month since I've streamed, guys, so you're gonna have to bear with me. I'm trying my best, I promise. It's just gonna take a minute to get back into the swing of things. Yes, bear with me. Um, Man, now I really should read The Seekers, huh? Like, I know they're polar bears, but bear, like, you know. Um, so, as I was saying while I was muted, Sindri is not able to join us right now because they had a work thing come up last minute. So they may be joining us later, but unfortunately, right now they can't. Um, I am super excited to get back into book club. It's been a good minute since we've done one, and I decided that this year I want to kind of revisit a lot of my favorite books from when I was younger and kind of see how my perception of them has changed and like what I get out of them. Um, so we are starting with one of Kameko's favorite books, one of Squish's favorite books, um, the Warrior Cats series by Erin Hunter. I'm just going to do the first series, The Prophecies Begin. Um, I do believe I read the first two series when I was younger, but I don't remember the second one as well. And there's a lot of other books that I want to include in this series. Hi, Sindri. Um, So I'm just gonna stick with the first. I believe there's 6 books in the Prophecies Begin, right? That sounds right. I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say 6. Um, then we can move on to other series that is going to include the Twilight Saga, um, the Hunger Games trilogy, and I actually have a list somewhere because I have so many books that I want to do. I'm probably also going to do Harry Potter and Percy Jackson. Um, because again, like I loved those books as a kid. Oh, and then also, there's a series called The Sisters Grimm, which if you have not heard of it, is a fantastic series. It is a children's book series, um, and it's amazing. And it's basically like the 2 main characters are descendants of the Brothers Grimm, and they live in a town with all these, or they like move to a town with all these fairy tale characters. It's very interesting. We will include that in this series, but today is about warriors. And I remember, so I want to start by like kind of talking about what I remember my impressions to be of this book when I first read it as a kid. Um, I say a kid. I mean I was a kid. I think I was 5th grade when I started reading these books. Um, and I loved them. Squish and I uh definitely wrote like a kind of 5th grader version of fan fiction for these books, and had like OCs, and Squish, who is a very talented artist, has like I remember I feel like we had a class project where we had to like write and illustrate a comic book, and obviously like 5th 6th grade version of that, so like no one's expecting it to be good. Hi Sage. So but I remember that we wrote and Squish illustrated, because I have no artistic ability at all, um a a comic book about a warrior cat OC, and I don't remember what the exact plot was, but I remember specifically Squish's drawings of this cat, and like these books were amazing. Like I love them, and I will say, so like all of the books that I'm gonna include in this series, I loved as a kid. And I think it's really important that when we talk about books, we recognize that we can love them and also critique them. Which I will say, I don't have as much to do for this book, but when we get into certain other series, there will be a good amount of critiquing that happens. And that doesn't mean that I love the book any less. I still enjoyed it, and I will continue to enjoy it. But it's important when we consume books to do it with a touch of critical thinking. Um, I love that so much. Oh my gosh. Okay, like these books, I mean they're so uh I think prolific is the word that I'm looking for. Like there's so many of them at this point, right? Um but if I'm not mistaken about timelines, Squish and I were reading these books as they were coming out. Um and we were devouring them. Like they're so good. And I think, yes, Moonlight Yes, I remember that. And I want to say mine, I honestly don't remember. It's been so long. But it's so interesting revisiting this book. Um, because I forgot certain things about it that has been so fun to rediscover. So first of all, I forgot how like how much of a fantasy book this is. And when I say that, like, obviously it's about cats, right? But the like structure of it and the like, you know, I guess tropes of it are like classic fantasy. So like one of the things that I always say is that every good fantasy book has a map. And every great fantasy book has a map and a glossary of characters. And this book does have both. It in fact has two maps, which I love so much because it has a map of the clan territories as the the clans view them, with the naming conventions that the clans use. But then it also has a map of the exact same area with the human names for everything, which I love so much. And that kind of also goes into the other part of this that like really does give it that fantasy feel, and that is like the lexicon that is used. So like they have, you know, all of the cats have words for things that are normal to us, or that like we have our own words for, right? Like humans are two legs. But even beyond that, like the seasons, they have their own naming convention for the seasons. They have, um, you know, different like for times of day, and the cars being monsters. That's a great one. And I remember, actually, this is so funny, as a kid, I remember like reading this, and I don't think I really looked at the map at the front when I was a kid, because I remember reading it and like trying to figure out what the thunder path and the monsters were supposed to be. And it feels like it took me an embarrassingly long time to figure out that it was like a highway and cars. um but yeah, like it's so interesting to see like the reframing of all of these like normal things as something otherworldly, because that's what they are for these cats. And um you know, and then even further than that, like just the structure of the story is very like hero's journey kind of thing, right? Like you start with this cat who is a kitty pet, right? Like living with humans and just very pampered, like spoiled, always has enough to eat. And then like he kind of finds this new strange world and like joins it. And it's so interesting because like, and one of the reasons why I think it's so like I'm so obsessed with how fantasy coded this book is because the first like books that I ever read, like real books, you know, like once you get past the age of like reading picture books and like things like that, the first like chapter books that I ever read were the Harry Potter series. Like my mom started reading them to me when I was in like 3rd grade, and then we like continued on, and like I started reading them myself. And so I do love like fantasy. The fantasy genre has always been like my favorite genre, and reading this now, it like occurs to me how fantasy coded the book is, And I think that's part of why I loved it so much growing up. Because it was something a little more on my level, but the structure and like the tropes of it are very like Lord of the Rings reminiscent almost. Um yes, and yeah, that's an interesting thing too of like I think that's also one of the things that I love about this, and it's really funny to me to like look at something from like my formative years and kind of see how I have like grown and how that even shaped me a little bit. Hi Emu, thank you for joining. Um, so Sage mentioned like the two legs have multiple names depending on where a cat is from. Some cats call them upwalkers, kitty pets call them housefolk, some cats call them no-furs. Um, and one of the things that I have noticed is that this book does a fantastic job of like exploring culture, if that makes sense. So like each of the so like obviously the biggest difference in culture can be seen between the clan cats and the kitty pets, right? The clan cats live in the wild, they hunt their food, they, you know, fight to protect themselves from predators, and the kitty pets live with humans and eat their food out of a bowl, and, you know, don't ever want for anything. But even within the clans, there's like subtle differences in culture, which we don't see as much in this book, but we do see a little bit more in the later books when we start to get to know the other clans a little better. And then even past that, we have like Barley, who is a best I can figure, a barn cat. And yes, I believe in the second series they come across a like another group of cats that live in a different area of the wilderness, who again, like it's wild, have a completely different naming convention, and like very different culture. Yes, the tribe of Rushing Water. And so it's so fascinating to me how in depth and real all of these cultures feel, and there are these differences in a children's book. Like, I think that's what always like kind of blows my mind, is I feel like people, and me too, sometimes I fall into this like trap of thinking that like books that are written for children are not going to be as complex, they're not going to be as like, you know, whatever. And to an extent that's true. Like the foreshadowing in a children's book has to be a little more obvious, but there's still a lot of complexity built into these books, and a lot of like, I remember reading somewhere that they actually did a study that showed that children who read more fiction displayed greater levels of empathy. Because when you read fiction and fantasy and you expose yourself to the different cultures outlined in these books, or, you know, even just the different experiences of the main character, you put yourself in their shoes for a little bit and you experience the world differently than you do, and that helps you grow this ability to be empathetic. Oh, see, I'm gonna have to read all the books now, because I never got to series 3. I'm pretty sure I finished series 2, but I don't think I ever got to series 3 or 4. I'm gonna have to read all of them now. We'll get there, okay? There's a lot of books I gotta read. We'll get there. It's gonna take a minute. But, so, kind of getting into the plot of this book specifically, We start with Rusty, who is a house cat. And he is still relatively young. He's still considered like I guess what we would consider a kitten at this point. Um, and he's having dreams. He's having like a reoccurring dream about hunting a mouse. And he is a indoor outdoor cat. Like they have a cat door for him so he can go out whenever he wants to. And they live on the edge of a forest. So one day he decides that he's going to go out into the forest and try to hunt a mouse like he keeps dreaming of. While he's there, he gets attacked, kind of, I guess, by Grey Paw, who is a warrior apprentice. And he meets Blue Star and Lionheart? Right? I gotta double check myself. Yes, Lionheart. And they basically explain to him, hey, it's not cool for you to, sorry, hold on. Okay. So basically they're like, hey, it's not cool for you to come out into these woods and hunt the prey that we rely on to survive, because you have access to as much food as you could ever want from your humans. They feed you. Your belly's always full. We are struggling to survive. And he, in a display that I will say, like, reading it, it's very interesting, because I will say that, like, when I read it, I was like, yes, I would react the way that Rusty does when they say, like, hey, don't hunt in these woods because we rely on this food to survive, and you have as much food as you want from your humans. Like, he is very respectful in saying, like, I never thought of it that way. Like, I'm sorry, I won't hunt in your woods anymore. And, like, it's kind of wild, because I feel like a lot of times it feels like that's a uncommon reaction, even though it should absolutely be like the expected response, right? Of like, hey, we rely on this thing to survive, and you do it for fun, so maybe you could just not do it so that we can survive. And I think partially because that response, Blue Star asks Rusty if he would like to join their clan. And I will say that I, once again, want to remind everyone, this is a children's book. And the pitch that Blue Star gives Rusty for joining the clan is essentially, hey, you might starve or die of exposure to the elements, but at least you'll get to keep your balls. Because if you stay with the humans, they're gonna take you to the vet. Well, so the clan cats call them the cutter. That basically, like, they're gonna take you to get fixed if you stay with the humans. And I find it so funny that, like, that's her pitch of, like, yeah, you could die, but at least you get to keep your balls. But so Rusty heads back to his house and decides that he is going to join the clan cats. So the next day he goes to meet Lionheart in the clearing that he met the cats the other day. And they take him to their camp. where Blue Star announces to the clan. Right, exactly. Like, it's so unexpected to me to see the hero just being like, "Oh, yes, okay, yeah, I understand." And like, you see that throughout the book where like, but he does still, like, I think, struggle with some of the warrior code, and I'll get into this a little bit more later. But for the most part, he does a very good job of like recognizing this is like this is the culture that I'm in now, and this is the way that they do things, and so like if I want to be a part of it, that is how I have to do things. And like you said, like, that is, I feel like, so rare, not only in fiction but in real life. Like, I think that a lot of times it can be hard to kind of accept other ways of doing things, or like be understanding of the way that others do things when it is so different from your own. And that's one of the things that I really love about this book. And I think it is interesting also, I will say, that a lot of the books that I read growing up, I actually hated the main character. But Firepaw is not one of those. I love Firepaw. He is, I think, like, he's very understanding character. He has a lot of empathy for all of the cats, not just those in his clan, but the other cats, and Smudge, his neighbor, as a kitty pet. But like, okay, because like, so for example, right, some of the other books that I'm gonna read, like Harry Potter, I think Harry is an idiot. Twilight, I think that Bella can be really, like, just dumb and make bad decisions. And like, even Percy Jackson, to an extent, Percy can be a little frustrating. And so, like, overwhelmingly, I think I usually, when I read books, just didn't like the main characters. But with Warriors, I always really loved Firepaw. And then so, again, naming conventions. For most of this book, he is Firepaw, so that is what we're going to call him. But, so he meets the rest of the clan, and Blue Star announces to them that she is going to have him join the clan as an apprentice, because they need more warriors, because they lost some of their kits in the winter, or they called Bear Leaf. And his own and learning everything new. I think it affected his view of all clans, because he's way more open to even other clans. Most clans only live within themselves because that's all they know. That's all they've been. Or grew up surrounded with that. Yes, I completely agree. And that's one of the other things, like, one of the things that I wanted to talk about, because we see him, like, he does very much embrace clan life. He, he throws himself into his training as an apprentice, and he is very, like, always, like, talking about, like, the warrior code and how he needs to take care of his clan. But we do see him, quote unquote, like, break the warrior code a couple times. And as a outsider, I think, like, like, the person reading this book, I think every time he does, it's very much justified. And this is kind of one of the reasons that I think, like, it's so interesting to, like, look at how cultures are depicted and interacted with within this series. Because, like you said, Firepaw grew up with humans. So he wasn't, like, exposed to the, like, warrior code and, like, clan politics from birth. And so that kind of made him a little more open to like an understanding and empathetic for all of the cats. So we see him, the first time we see him like break the code is with Yellowfang. So he is sent to his like first apprentice task, like solo task, is to hunt for the clan. And so just a quick rundown for anyone who hasn't read the book. The way that the clan works is there is a leader who, for Thunder Clan, which is the one that Firepaw joins, it's Blue Star. And the leader has a deputy. And then all of the like healthy adult cats basically are warriors. And their job is to hunt and protect the clan from predators and outside cats. And then you have the apprentices who are all in training to be the warriors. Then you have the elders, who are elderly cats who have, you know, been warriors, and they have like grown into an age where they can't reliably hunt for themselves or, you know, fight off predators, or maybe they were injured somehow. Like in ThunderClan, there is one of the elders who is missing an eye, who is, you know, creatively named One Eye. And so the elders, again, rely on the warriors and their apprentices to bring in food and protect the camp, but they have lived very long lives. They have wisdom that can be helpful to the clan. And then you have the queens, which are the pregnant or nursing, like, female cats who have kits. And then the kits, obviously, are the babies who aren't old enough to hunt yet or, like, take care of themselves, really. And so the majority of the clan are warriors, and their job is to take care of and provide for those within the clan who cannot do that for themselves. Which, I do want to say, side note, this is, not to get, like, real kind of spicy over here, this is, like, the ideal structure, like, economic, political structure to me, right? Where, like, the majority of people are doing their best to take care of those that cannot take care of themselves. And so, anyway, Firepaw is an apprentice. He's training to be a warrior. His first solo task is to hunt prey for the clan. And part of the warrior code is that you cannot eat for yourself before the clan must be fed first. So he's out hunting, and he gets surprised by a strange cat, and he fights her and, like, basically injures her to the point where she can't run away, she can't really fight anymore, and she kind of just gives up, and she's like, okay, fine, finish me off. Hi, Callie. Sorry, I need water. So she kind of gets to the point where she's just like, okay, fine, just finish me off. Like, just kill me. And Firepaw can't do it. I love Yellowfang. And I will also say, just quick side note, I didn't remember Spotted Leaf, like, at all. I just thought Yellowfang was the medicine cat from the beginning. because I love Yellowfang so much, and like she's my favorite. So anyway, Firepaw sees that Yellowfang is starving and hurt and like just honestly has like given up almost. And so he is kind of struggling with this compassion because he doesn't want to just leave her to starve. He doesn't want to kill her in cold blood because they're no longer fighting. And so he goes and he catches her a rabbit and gives it to her. And then he is like so hungry at this point. Like he hasn't eaten because he's been hunting for his clan. And there's like little tiny like morsels of this rabbit left. And so he like ends up eating some. And then Blue Star and some of the other cats find them, including Tiger Claw, who I hate, but that is a thing for a different time. I push this. Yeah, I think it's I think with Spotted Leaf there is this weird so like, okay, and that's the other thing too, is like, so one element of the clan like structure that I didn't mention is the medicine cat. So basically the medicine cat does what it sounds like, where they help apply medicine and healing for all the other cats. They also have typically a like strong connection with Star Clan, which are the ancestors of the clan cats. And so that was another thing I forgot to mention, that at the very beginning of the book, before we even meet Rusty, Spotted Leaf gets a message from Star Clan that fire will save Thunder Clan. And Blue Star is like, how is that possible? All of the clans fear fire. Like, we don't, I mean, obviously, like, they live in a forest. Like, if the forest catches on fire, their whole home is gone. And so then, like, it does kind of, like, when Blue Star names him Firepaw, she does kind of, I think, get that, like, hey, this is obviously what the prophecy was talking about. But with Spotted Leaf, I think, like, there is this, like, they mention multiple times how pretty she is, and, like, Firepaw does kind of, like, almost have this, like, rapport with her, but we also don't see him interact with her a whole lot. And then, obviously, if you don't want spoilers, dip out real quick, because there's gonna be some spoilers, so sorry. Okay, yeah, I mean, I'm going to read the rest of these books. I will. But it's going to take me a minute, because I do have other books that I want to read. So, maybe after I wrap up the nostalgia series of book club, I will dive back into Warriors and catch up to, like, the newer series. But, anyway, yeah, so I think, like, so, like, they do, again, like, they build this almost like, oh, there's gonna be maybe a romance between Firepaw and Spotted Leaf. But then also they drop that, medicine cats can't, like, have, like, basically medicine cats can't be in love. Like, they are, like, they take an oath of, like, chastity. I don't know. Yellowfang says medicine cats can't have kids, but then also I'm pretty sure in the second series, Leaf Paw, or she might be Leaf Pool at this point, who's like studying to be the next medicine cat of ThunderClan, ends up running away because she falls in love with another cat. So yeah, like, even if they had tried to like pursue this, even if they had wanted to build this like romance between Firepaw and Spotted Leaf can't, she's a medicine cat, she can't have that romance, like, by clan rules. But anyway, then, so, sorry, I keep getting sidetracked. He feeds Yellowfang, and then is happened upon by a patrol from ThunderClan. And they see that he fed her and that he ate some of it too, which is, again, breaking the warrior code. And so they're like, Tiger Claw, of course, is like being an asshole and, you know, yelling at him and berating him. And Blue Star, who is a lot more level-headed, basically is like, hey, you did break the warrior code, and like, so you're gonna like face some like consequences for that. But also, Yellowfang is, or was, the Shadow Clan medicine cat. And she is very well respected by the other clans. So Blue Star takes her back to the camp and basically says, like, she's gonna stay here, and Firepaw, your punishment, basically, is that you have to take care of her. And that includes hunting for her, tending to her wounds, and clearing away her dirt, which is what they call poop. So he has to, like, clean up after her and stuff. And there's actually a lot going on in this book, I'm gonna be honest. And if I try to, like, go through the synopsis of it, it's, like, it's just kind of gonna be all over the place because that's the way my brain works. But essentially, there's kind of, like, a couple different stories going on. Firepaw is training and, you know, wanting to become a warrior. We also hear that Shadow Clan pushed Wind Clan out of their territory. And at the very beginning of the book, also, something I forgot, Redtail, who was ThunderClan's deputy, died. Ravenpaw, who's another one of the apprentices, runs into the camp and says that Redtail is dead and then passes out. Tigerclaw comes back with Redtail's body and says that Oakheart, the River Clan deputy, killed Redtail, and then Tigerclaw killed Oakheart in revenge. So there's like this, yes, 100%. Like, it's done really seamlessly. Like you said, like, it's not super jarring, and there's multiple threads happening at the same time, but it's not hard to follow when you're reading it. But because I'm ADHD and ridiculous, it is hard for me to describe it. So I'm doing my best, guys. But so as they're like going through their training, you kind of get to see more of like Tigerclaw and his apprentice. Ravenpaw is Tigerclaw's apprentice. And he's a jerk. And I'm just going to say, okay. And you'll kind of also see a little bit more of like my opinions and thoughts as a person when we get to like Harry Potter. but like Tiger Claw a little bit with how he treats Ravenpaw reminds me of Snape. And I say this because, so one of the things that I actually did really love, that I think like they do really well in this book, is that they have juxtaposition that like shows you, that like makes their point for them, right? So we see Tiger Claw with Ravenpaw, and he's very hard on him. He's always criticizing him. He's always telling him like what he's doing wrong. He very rarely praises him. But then we also get to see Lionheart with his apprentice Greypaw. And Lionheart again has like a much more like, you know, in juxtaposition, has a much more like kind and like his approach to teaching is much more like, let me praise you for the things you did right and offer correction for what you can do better, versus just telling you what you're doing wrong, which is what Tiger Claw does. And I will say, as a person who trained to be a teacher, I can't fucking stand people who teach like Tiger Claw. I can't stand it. I hate it. You're a bad teacher. You, in fact, are harming your student. You are not teaching them anything, and they are going to do worse in life. Whereas the students of teachers like Lionheart are going to learn how to correct their mistakes and grow confidence in what they are doing right. And that is how you connect with a person, a student, to actually get them to learn what you want them to learn. And so it's one of those things of like, as I was reading it, I think I made that connection of like, I hate Snape with a passion, and we'll get into that when I talk about Harry Potter. But Tiger Claw again very much reminds me of that with respect to how he treats Ravenpaw. Sorry, Tiger Claw was raised to be the villain he is too. He had a very aggressive mentor in Thistleclaw. Difference was that Thistleclaw was loyal and didn't kill anybody. Fair, yeah. Could have been a very different character if not for his mentor, especially seeing how sweet spotted Leaf is, who is his littermate. Yeah, and I do think, so I will say, and I know the second series gets into this a little bit more, of this kind of like nature versus nurture thing, right? And I think that like Tiger Claw very much was, you know, trained to be this like aggressive, just like merciless warrior. And in some ways that does serve a purpose for the clan, right? Like if he is going to be actually loyal and defend his clan tooth and nail and, you know, take care of them and protect them as he should have, then having a like merciless protector can be a good thing in certain times. But the problem is that Tiger Claw is also power hungry, and he doesn't care about his clan as much as he cares about himself and the power that he gets. And I do think you can also kind of see through, like, kind of see that line too of like how their mentors shape who they are, because we also have, oh gosh, what was it? Darkstripe? Is Darkstripe, yes. Darkstripe was Tiger Claw's apprentice before Ravenpaw. I don't know if it was directly before. I think it was. And Darkstripe, again, is this very, like, yes, Dirtstripe, as Firepaw likes to refer to him as well. He is this very, like, aggressive, like, kind of, again, merciless warrior. And it like obviously, and like I don't remember everything with Darkstripe, and so I don't remember like if he kind of like follows in Tiger Claw's footsteps with all of that, or if he's just kind of an asshole but is still loyal to the clan. But you do see him like when Tiger Claw basically tells him and Longtail that Ravenpaw was like gone from, or like disappeared while they were going to visit the Moonstone, basically implying that Ravenpaw is a traitor to the clan and told Shadow Clan that people would, you know, like that they would be gone. Then like Darkstripe is like immediate to like, well, the clan would be better without a traitor like him. And I'm like, okay, calm down. You don't even know the facts. Like, chill. Okay, yes, he is a coward, but also an asshole. Cool. But so every full moon, the clans have a gathering where all four clans come together, and while the moon is in the sky, they have like a truce so that they can like discuss whatever they need to and like, you know, deal with things. And at the gathering, so it's the first gathering that Firepaw, Greypaw, and Ravenpaw get to go to. And at this gathering, they find out that Shadow Clan has pushed, like, basically the leader of Shadow Clan confirms that they pushed Wind Clan out of their territories. And he also says that they want hunting rights in all of the other clans' territories. And basically saying that like they have more kits because their kits are like hardier, so they didn't die in the winter, and so they have more mouths to feed than the other clans who lost a lot of kits in the winter, and so they can spare some prey for Shadow Clan. And this is unprecedented. The clans have never shared territory. They've never hunted in each other's territories. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous. And then he also tells them that, hey, there was a traitor in Shadow Clan that we had to exile, and she's wandering around somewhere, and make sure you watch your kits while she's still around. And so, of course, all of ThunderClan is like, oh my gosh, it's Yellowfang, like, Yellowfang's gonna harm our kits, and we just left her in our camp completely unguarded, and our kits are there. So they all rush back. Of course the kits are fine, but everyone's like, Yellowfang is awful and terrible, and we need to, like, get rid of her. And Blue Star's like, absolutely not. Yellowfang has done nothing wrong. She's been here this whole time and not betrayed our trust or done anything wrong, so y'all can take several seats. Which, side note, I love Blue Star. Like, Blue Star is also probably my favorite. Like, Yellowfang and Blue Star are, I think, my favorites. And then I do love Firepaw. Lionheart was one of my favorites also. And yeah, so anyway, because of all the stuff that's happening with Shadow Clan, Blue Star decides that she needs to go and visit the Moonstone. The Moonstone is where, when a cat becomes a clan leader, they go and sleep next to the Moonstone and share dreams with Star Clan. And then they get 9 lives, and they, you know, their name becomes whatever Star. So, and then they can, like, any leader of a clan can travel to the Moonstone whenever they need guidance or anything like that. Yes, medicine cats also go to the Moonstone every half moon to commune with StarClan. So Blue Star takes Tiger Claw, Ravenpaw, Graypaw, and Firepaw to the Moonstone. Which also, okay, here's another thing that I did not clock when I was a kid, and as an adult, it is absolutely horrifying. So there's a scene where they have to cross the Thunder Path to get to the Moonstone. And as we discussed, the Thunder Path is a road, and the monsters that drive along it are cars. When Firepaw goes to cross the Thunder Path, it says, hold on, I'm gonna find the scene, because, so basically, maybe I'm not gonna find the scene, there's a lot going on here, but it says that one of the monsters veered off of the path to the side, and there was a 2-leg hanging out the side and, like, jeering at him. And as a child, it did not occur to me. But as an adult reading this, I can recognize that as someone was driving down the road, saw a cat on the side of it, and said, hey, I'm gonna try to run it over. And that is awful. Like, I'm sorry, but at no point in my life ever have I been driving down the road and seen genuinely any animal and thought, hey, what if I run that over? Like, even animals I don't like. Like, I'm not a fan of snakes. But if there was a snake on the side of the road, I would not go out of my way to run it over. Because that's terrible. Why would you do that? Anyway, they journey to the Moonstone. Blue Star has Ravenpaw and Graypaw stand guard outside of this cave where the Moonstone is inside. And Tiger Claw and Firepaw accompany her to the Moonstone. And they're essentially going through a, like, defunct mine. And in the middle of it is this Moonstone. Yeah, like, what, I genuinely don't understand. Like, I don't get it, how it's like, oh, yeah, let's have some fun and try to hit an animal on the side of the road. Like, I need you guys to understand that I'm the kind of person that stops my car and helps animals. Like we have a lot of turtles in this area that like to get in the road. The turtles will just kind of like they're trying to walk across, but they're real slow because they're turtles. So they'll be like halfway across the road. I'm the kind of person that stops my car and gets out and moves the turtle to the other side of the road so that it doesn't get hit. Like, so the idea of going out of my way to hit an animal with my car, which, again, like Callie said, you're then just gonna get your car dirty. I don't understand. I don't understand, and, like, the fact that that's included in this book is so, like, I get it, like, you're building this world, and, like, you're, again, depicting, like, the 2 legs as, like, and not all of them are awful, right? But you're seeing that some of them are. But it's just like, what? But anyway, so they get to the caves, the, like, basically abandoned mine, and Blue Star, Tiger Claw, and Firepaw go through and arrive at the Moonstone. And so basically what it is like, there's in in the center of this mine, there's a hole or an opening in the top of this cavern that lets the moonlight in. And when the moonlight is at a certain point, it hits the moonstone, which then, like, lights up the whole cave. And so then, like, the leaders and the medicine cats are able to, like, commune with StarClan when they're in the presence of this moonstone. So when they get there, Tiger Claw gets real scared and just, like, bolts. And Firepaw's like, what is up? Like, what is going on? What scared him? And then, but Firepaw just, like, stays there. And Blue Star's like, okay, cool. You know, like, being in here takes, like, a different kind of, like, fortitude. And so she goes to, like, lay down and, you know, go to sleep to have, like, share dreams with StarClan. And then after the moon goes down and the cave isn't lit up anymore, then Blue Star wakes up and she's like, we have to get back to the camp. So they run out of the cave, they meet back up with the others, and they start to journey home, where they run into Barley, who is, best I can figure, like a barn cat. He doesn't technically live with the, like, two legs of this farm, but he's, like, on their farm, basically. Yes, I do love that, and, like, I think it's just really funny to, like, see that, like, Tiger Claw acts all tough and stuff, but, like, whenever he has to face actual consequences, he gets real scared. But so they run into Barley, and Barley's like, hey, the two legs that live here got a couple dogs, so you might want to go through the cornfield, so that you don't, like, run into the dogs. And they had seen the dogs earlier, but they were tied up, so they thought it would be fine. They were like, oh, it's fine. But Blue Star decides to go through the cornfield, because what if the dogs aren't tied up anymore? And then, as they're walking along, they get attacked by rats. And Barley runs in and ends up saving them, and, like, helping them fight the rats off. And Tiger Claw is like, you sent us into a trap, like, you knew this was gonna happen, you knew the rats were here, and basically, like, sends him away. Well, also in this fight, Blue Star gets severely injured. And she ends up losing one of her lives. Remember, I said earlier that when cats become the leader of a clan, they commune with StarClan and they get 9 lives. So she ends up losing one of her lives in the fight with those rats. You also find out that Barley says, like, he didn't set them up. The two legs that live there let the dogs off of their leashes at night to, like, guard the farm. So, and he didn't know the rats were there, so he was, like, warning them, like, hey, if you go this way, the dogs aren't tied up anymore, so they will, you know, attack you. But Tiger Claw, like, sends him away. Blue Star wakes up, and she says that she lost one of her lives, but it wasn't the 9th one. No, Cinderpelt does not show up in this one. I forget when Cinderpelt does show up, but it's not in this one. We gotta wait for her. But so Tiger Claw asks Blue Star, what which of her lives that was. And she says it was her fourth. And so she theoretically has 5 more lives left. So they hurry back to the camp and they find ShadowClan attacking. And so they all throw themselves into the fray and start, yeah, I know, right? She, like, wakes up and she's like, I lost a life, but it wasn't my 9th. And it's like, well, yeah, girl, if it was, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be talking to me if it was your 9th life. But so they all throw themselves into the fray and start fighting with the ShadowClan cats that showed up. And as they're fighting, Firepaw sees one of the ShadowClan cats going into the nursery and starting to take the kits out. And so he goes to run over there to, like, stop him, but another cat jumps on him, and he's, like, fighting. He fights that cat off, finally runs over there, and he finds Yellowfang in the nursery guarding the kits. And the ShadowClan cat that was over there is nowhere to be found. And she says she, like, ran him off. So then they finally, you know, get the rest of the ShadowClan cats out of their camp. And Blue Star, they like, see that, you know, Yellowfang defended the kits and then, like, protected them. And so Blue Star welcomes Yellowfang into ThunderClan. Basically said, like, if you want to be a part of ThunderClan, like, you are welcomed into ThunderClan. You protected us and you, like, helped us. So, like, there is a place for you here. So Yellowfang joins ThunderClan at that point. But there's still a lot of cats who are suspicious of her. And like, there is a scene that I do like where Firepaw asks Yellowfang how she fought off this, I think, was it Black Claw? Was that his name? Hold on, let me consult the, Blackfoot, who is this, like, ginormous cat, that was taking the kits out of the nursery, and Yellowfang is like, yeah, he's really strong, but, he's not as smart as you, like, he's not very clever, and basically that, like, it was harder to fight you because you are more intelligent than this other cat who is a deputy of ShadowClan. Which I found very funny, that Yellowfang is like, yeah, he's strong, but he's an idiot, so it's fine. But so, this is also when, Firepaw overhears, so basically, like, Tiger Claw tells the clan, oh, I'm so sorry. Lionheart dies in this battle. Lionheart was the ThunderClan deputy after Redtail died. So now, Blue Star has to name another deputy. Another new deputy. And she picks Tiger Claw. Then, Tiger Claw says that ShadowClan must have known that the leader, that Blue Star and one of the, like, senior warriors, Tiger Claw, would be gone, and that's why they attacked the camp at this time. And basically says, like, there has to be a traitor amongst us, and stares dead at Ravenpaw. No. So, I don't know. It is a very interesting thing that, like, both, Redtail and Lionheart are these kind of, like, ginger cats. Which, oh, also, real quick side note, I got sidetracked real quick. I was talking to Sindri about this the other day, and I was like, honestly, the most unbelievable part of this series is that an orange cat like Firepaw is capable and not an absolute doofus. But anyway, that was just a random side note, because I thought it was very funny that the main character of this book, who is actually very capable and does eventually become the leader of ThunderClan, is an orange cat. But yeah, so, okay, sorry, real quick. I shall consult the character glossary. So, when we start, Redtail actually isn't a red cat. He's a tortoiseshell. But he has a distinctive ginger tail, which is why he's called Redtail. And then, yes, Lionheart is a golden tabby with thick fur like a lion's mane. I really do appreciate this, the glossary of characters, because it tells you their name, and then it also gives you a brief description of them. And then Tiger Claw, who becomes the deputy after Lionheart's death, is a big dark brown tabby with unusual front claws. I don't know. And then in our other clans, the only deputies we get are, we don't know the deputy of Wind Clan, but the Shadow Clan deputy is Blackfoot, who is a large white tom with huge jet black paws. And then the River Clan deputy is Oakheart, who is a reddish-brown tom. Yeah, so then this is also, so Tiger Claw very heavily implies to the entire clan that Ravenpaw is a traitor. And then, specifically in private, says to, Longtail and Darkstripe that Ravenpaw went missing for a time on their journey to the Moonstone, which is bullshit. Firepaw overhears Tiger Claw telling them this. This is also when Darkstripe says, like, we should basically just kill him. And Firepaw's like, oh my gosh, like, I have to tell Bluestar, like, I have to protect Ravenpaw, because they're really good friends at this point. So he goes back, and he doesn't want to tell Ravenpaw what he overheard, because he's like, it's just gonna stress him out and, like, freak him out, you know? So he's like, I'll, like, just tell Bluestar. And so the next day, they have their, like, training, because they're apprentices, and this is the first time that Firepaw gets to train with Bluestar. And then Greypaw and Ravenpaw go out with Tiger Claw for their training. And he, like, basically sends them on tasks to, you know, complete. And, but, so for Firepaw's training, he's alone with Bluestar, and he's like, oh, perfect, this is, like, the perfect time I can tell her about what I overheard with Tiger Claw. But then, she's like, hey, we're fighting. Like, we're, you know, that's our training today, is I'm gonna teach you how to, like, fight. Like, you are a pretty good fighter, you're very clever, you're very strong, but eventually you're gonna find someone who is all of those things also, and you need to know how to fight. So he gets sidetracked, and she teaches him how to fight. It's very cute. She, like, basically is, like, has him attack her a couple times, because he, like, she's like, attack me, and so then he attacks her, and she, like, basically fights him off, and then, like, gives him, like, little pointers in between each, until he finally does, like, get one over on her. And then she's like, okay, now it's my turn, and she, like, keeps attacking him and basically giving him pointers on how to, like, evade her and all this stuff. It's very cute. But he totally forgets to talk to her about Ravenpaw, and then he loses the chance to talk to her at that point. And then they, like, I forget, like, oh, so he gets back, and Grey Paw is there. He talks to Grey Paw, who tells him that sorry, Tiger Claw had him go hunt in the river, and he stepped on a stone and is like, it hurt his paw. Like, he, like, basically stabbed his paw with a stone. So, and Grey Paw says that, he doesn't know what Ravenpaw's task was, but he's not back yet. So Firepaw, of course, starts to worry. Tells Grey Paw he should go see Spotted Leaf to, like, deal with his paw. And then Ravenpaw gets back. And he has a fresh kill. And he tells Firepaw that he caught it in Shadow Clan territory. That Tiger Claw tasked him with going into Shadow Clan territory and hunting there. Which, again, big no-no. You're not supposed to do that. Like, you're not supposed to hunt in another clan's territory. But also extremely dangerous. Because even if Shadow Clan weren't clearly evil right now, if another clan cat caught him hunting in their territory, like, they're gonna defend it. And so, of course, Firepaw's, like, super worried about Ravenpaw. And he's like, it's fine, whatever, just eat the food. So they, you know, they eat, they go to bed, whatever. The next day, sorry, hold on. I'm double checking things to make sure I don't forget things. We're getting close to the end of the book at this time. So basically, Firepaw confronts Ravenpaw about Tiger Claw's, like, what he said and, like, all this stuff, and, like, he's like, Tiger Claw clearly wants to get rid of you, like, what is going on? And so we find out from Ravenpaw that Oakheart did not kill Redtail. Redtail killed Oakheart, and then they had driven all of the River Clan out of Thunder Clan territory, and then Tiger Claw killed Oakheart because he wanted to be deputy. So, and Tiger Claw knows that Ravenpaw saw this and knows this. So he, of course, wants to get rid of him.
Sorry.
No, you're good. What's up? Oh, nice. Do you want to join?
Maybe. I'm gonna walk the boy.
Oh, okay.
Because he's crying at me for his thing, but...
Yeah.
He also hasn't gone out after he ate, so...
Okay.
I'm gonna take him out. Just letting you know, just in case you you're like...
Yeah, thanks.
Where the fuck are you? But, yeah, so... yeah.
Okay.
What are we doing for dinner, by the way?
I don't know. What do you want?
Also, I just realized maybe instead of using it, I mean, I'm still gonna try it for the other one, but maybe I'll just use it for that since it's like such like a rough machine. Maybe I'll use the like gathering, the like.
Fair.
That'll work for that. But,
yeah.
I don't really care, but you can text me.
Okay. All right.
Continue to have fun with this. Listen, I know you talked to me a little bit about it, but there's a lot more. That book is so little.
Yeah.
And there's so much going on.
This book is only 272 pages.
And there's so much.
There's so much happening.
Also, I was gonna say this earlier, but I wanted to finish that file. But it's kind of upsetting that not all the deputies are red cats.
I know, that would have been great.
Because honestly, that like, what if that's just like a trope across all the clans that they're all like, there's this one specific. But also, that's kind of fucked up when you think about it.
Tagbow is
like,
also told the clan that he killed Oakheart to avenge Redtail to make himself like a hero to increase his odds of being deputy, which makes no sense because the warrior code forbids killing. Yeah, that too. Okay. Listen, Tiger Claw, he is a great, I agree with you, he's a great villain, but also sometimes he's stupid. So yeah, so Tiger Claw basically says like, oh, I killed Oakheart to avenge Redtail's death. And he's like, thinks he's gonna be appointed deputy. He's not. Lionheart is appointed deputy first, but then Lionheart dies in, so I will say, like, that is fair and a good point. The one thing I will say is that, like, so how does Winter Storm say it? He says, like, or sorry, White Storm. He says, sorry, hold on. Thunder Clan warriors do not kill unless they have to. So, I can see a world where, like, Redtail tried to, like, get him to basically flee. Right? His name is White Storm. He's, the one who's leading the party. Yes, White Storm. He is a big white Tom. He's the one who's leading the, like, party looking for Yellowfang after the storm ends. And, he, like, basically, Firepaw is, like, ready to kill Clawface. Because Clawface is the one who killed Spotted Leaf. He, like, basically is in a fury, like, blind fury, and, like, about to kill Clawface, and White Storm knocked him off of the Shadow Clan warrior, and, like, basically grabbed Clawface, and says to Firepaw, Thunder Clan warriors do not kill unless they have to. We just need to let them know not to show their faces here again. And then he gave Clawface a fierce bite that sent him screaming out of the camp. So, technically, if Oakheart, like, gave him no choice, Redtail is still not breaking the code. Or, like, if, for instance, like, I don't know, they were, like, on rocks or something, and they were, like, fighting, and then, like, Oakheart got pushed off of them and, like, onto other rocks and, like, broke his back or something. Technically, Redheart still wouldn't have violated the warrior code. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Like, they basically kind of, like, set it up as just, like, oh, she was really hot. She was just really hot. And so Firepaw loved her. And I'm like, okay, calm down. Chill. It's fine. And yeah, so I don't know. It's crazy. But so basically, Ravenpaw tells Firepaw what actually happened that night. And Firepaw's like, don't worry, Greypaw and I will protect you. Like, just make sure you stay close to one of us. I will tell Blue Star, but in the meantime, just stay close to one of us. So then he goes. So Greypaw comes back from the, medicine den and is like, hey, Brindleface just had her kits. let's go see them. So they head over there, but they're basically like, hey, only like one person at a time, and you're gonna have to wait because Blue Star's in there right now. So Firepaw's like, okay, well, like, you can go first, Grey Paw. I'm gonna go check in with Yellowfang. And then when Blue Star comes out, she tells Firepaw that she wants to talk to him. So they go to her den and sit down and talk. And this is where you find out that it actually wasn't her 4th life that she lost. It was her 7th. So she only has 2 more lives left. Which is not great. I don't love that. And she basically is like, yeah, I told the clan this so that they wouldn't worry because we have so much other stuff to worry about right now. Oh, 100%. Like, I have to believe that the prophecy is like what kind of pushes Blue Star to this level of trust, because like she does, like, it's crazy to trust, like, the amount of trust that she places in him as A, an apprentice, and B, not even a like clan cat from birth. Like, he is technically on some level still a little bit of an outsider. And so the level of trust she puts in him is wild. Not just with this, but also with, like, you know, a little bit later in the book. And so yes, like, I knew, like, I think she, again, from the very start, she knew that he was the fire that was going to save their clan. And so this is what kind of leads her to take him on as her own apprentice and to trust him with this information. And also, what is about to happen. So when they get done with that conversation, she also, during that conversation, says that Tiger Claw is fierce and aggressive, but that ferocity is what they need to, like, protect the clan right now because of how much is happening. And Firepaw has this realization of, like, oh, I can't tell her about Tiger Claw. Like, I can't tell her about what Ravenpaw saw because, like, she has to trust Tiger Claw right now. And if I tell her, like, that's gonna, like, ruin a lot of stuff. So he basically decides, like, he has to figure out how to save Ravenpaw himself. So he leaves her den. And oh, he had seen the kits before he went to go talk to her. So he leaves her den, and all of a sudden you hear, like, this commotion, and I believe it's Frost Fur's kits are missing. Yes, Frost Fur's kits are missing. Blue Star chose to become deputy back when she was Blue Fur because she said those same traits would destroy the clan if this. Yeah, that's fair. It's, and I think it is also interesting though, because, like, I think that, like I said, sometimes those traits are and can be an asset, but if they aren't, you know, kind of tempered by other things and, like, specifically, like, empathy and understanding, then I think it gets out of hand. So I don't know. And I think also, you know, like, she probably kind of, like, it is kind of crazy that she, especially, I think, like, it feels like when you're reading the book, it feels like Blue Star knows so much, and that she is, like, it does almost feel like she is all-knowing. But she clearly isn't. And so then it almost like when she does make Tiger Claw deputy, you have this moment of like, no, why would you do that? Like, what are you doing? But it's also kind of like, who else is she going to make deputy at that point? Like, all of the like, he is at this point, I believe, the most senior of the warriors. And yes, 100%, like, it was very scary with like Shadow Clans, the threat of Shadow Clan, and then like, you know, even just like all of these other, you know, they still have, even without Shadow Clan, like, they are struggling to survive because of like the scarcity of prey, and, you know, as humans are starting to change the environment, like, it's changing their habitat and what they have access to. So that is already a threat. And then you have Shadow Clan, who has shown itself to be this ruthless, like, horribly aggressive group of cats, and so they need someone who can be a strong defender of their clan. And I think that Tiger Claw fits that description. But also, she didn't know that he killed Redtail and was kind of setting Ravenpaw up to be killed. Like, but anyway. So, we find out that Frostfur's kits are missing. And then everyone's running around the camp looking for them, trying to see, like, did they get into some other den? Like, where could they be? Are they, you know, around somewhere? They're looking everywhere. They find Spotted Leaf dead. And Yellowfang is missing. Firepaw sees her leaving the camp right after the kits went missing. So everyone, besides Firepaw, Greypaw, and Ravenpaw, and to an extent Bluestar, is like, Yellowfang stole the kits, she killed Spotted Leaf, she took the kits to Shadow Clan, it was all a ruse, her, you know, protecting the kits, and all this stuff. So, as this is happening, a storm, like a really bad lightning storm, is rolling in. So, Bluestar is like, we will search for Yellowfang after the storm passes. Because right now, like, it will be too dangerous. We won't be able to smell her with the rain. Like, we won't be able to track her. So we're gonna wait until the storm passes. Then she pulls Firepaw aside and is like, hey, I need you to go find Yellowfang and bring her back here alive. Because I don't trust that if I send anybody else, they will bring her. Like, no one else will get her to come back here. Like, Firepaw has built a relationship with Yellowfang to where she trusts him and he cares about her and she cares about him. And so Bluestar is like, if you go and ask her, she will come back. And I need to know the truth. So I need you to go bring Yellowfang back. Then at the same time, like right as this is about to happen, like Firepaw goes to leave, and Greypaw stops him and is like talking to him for a second, and then we see one of the other queens, like one of the cats who's like in the nursery. I think it's Brindleface actually, is like chasing Ravenpaw out of the nursery. To where basically like Tiger Claw has insinuated enough, and that news has spread, that Ravenpaw is a traitor to ThunderClan, and that he is a danger to the kits. So Firepaw decides that he needs to get Ravenpaw out of the camp. So they end up it ends up being that Firepaw, Graypaw, and Ravenpaw are all about to, like, leave the camp. And Tiger Claw sees them and is like, where are you guys going? It's a storm. Don't go right now. Like, you can't, whatever. And Blue Star is like, hey, one of Brindleface's kits has a cough. So Firepaw volunteered to go get some of this herb that will help with the cough. And Tiger Claw's like, well, surely you don't need 3 of you to do that. And Blue Star is basically like, oh, in this storm, like, having the extra help and, like, it's, like, safety in numbers and stuff. And Firepaw has this moment of, like, recognizing just how much trust Blue Star is putting in him. By basically being like, yeah, go with Graypaw and Ravenpaw, like, take them out, even though, like, I don't know what you're doing and I don't know what the issue is, but, like, I'm trusting you that this is the right decision. So they leave camp, and basically they end up taking Ravenpaw to the edge of WindClan's territory so that he can go and live with Barley. And Firepaw tells Ravenpaw that he's going to tell everyone in the clan that Ravenpaw died, so that Tiger Claw doesn't ever come looking for him. And then Graypaw and Firepaw go to Shadow Clan, or, like, they basically go back to, like, track Yellowfang so they can find her. And they track her into Shadow Clan territory. And they find her right next to an area where there is some blood from one of the kits that was taken. And they basically, like, corner her, and they're like, why did you kill Spotted Leaf? Like, all this stuff. And Yellowfang is shocked. She had no idea Spotted Leaf was dead. She basically says, like, I left as soon as I knew the kits were missing so that I could go find them and bring them back. And she says, like, I didn't take the kits, but I smelled who did. I know who it was. It was Clawface. All this stuff. And Firepaw, of course, is like, recognizes that she's telling the truth. Also just being completely shocked that Spotted Leaf is dead. And so they're like, okay, we need to go get the kits from Shadow Clan. And Yellowfang says that she can get them some help from inside Shadow Clan, because not everyone agrees with how Broken Star, the Shadow Clan leader, is running Shadow Clan. And at the same time, they also hear the Thunder Clan patrol coming and looking for Yellowfang, because the storm has passed at this point. I'm sorry, there's something in my eye. So, Yellowfang goes off to get some of the Shadow Clan cats to help them. Firepaw catches up with the Thunder Clan patrol and tells them what's going on. They go and meet up, and Yellowfang ends up convincing the Thunder Clan patrol that she's innocent. She left looking for the kits so that she could bring them back, and that basically she tells them that Broken Star is just, like, basically destroying Shadow Clan. Like, he became the leader after his father, Ragged Star, died. Which, side note, what is with the names of Shadow Clan cats? Broken Star, Ragged Star, like, we're just giving these cats it's like in The Lion King, when Scar's name, his original name before he was called Scar, was like the Swahili for trash. What? Like, why are we doing this? Okay, fair, but still. Oh my gosh, what is with my eye? Okay. So, she basically tells the ThunderClan cats that Broken Star took over after his father, Ragged Star, died. And he has been basically like forcing the elders to hunt for themselves. And he's started training kits as young as like 3 moons. And by the time they're like 5 moons old, he has them going out as apprentices or like as warriors. Which typically they start training as apprentices at 6 moons old. And then they don't become warriors until much later, after they have like proven, you know, like finished their training and like all that stuff. So, and she tells them that he basically has a small group of warriors who are very strong, that are loyal to him. And everyone else in the clan basically just follows him out of fear. And so if they see that he is losing, they will fight against him. Yeah. 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 I feel like even like, you know, like the other cats, like One Eye, and I think there's like a Half Tail, Deadfoot, yeah, like, or even Running Nose. Like, there's a cat that's just always got like a runny nose, and they named him Running Nose. So, anyway, like, in this explanation, basically, like, Yellowfang explains to the ThunderClan cats that, like, Broken Star has been breaking the warrior code, like, left and right, pretty much since he became the leader. And, that he basically, the reason that Yellowfang was exiled from ShadowClan is because Broken Star killed 2 kits that he was like forcing to train early, like train his apprentices early, and then brought them to her like already dead. And when their mom walked in, it was Broken Star, Yellowfang, and the 2 dead kits. And so Broken Star told the mom that Yellowfang is the one who killed the kits, and they drove her out of ShadowClan territory. So they basically make this plan that the 3 ShadowClan cats that Yellowfang got to help them are going to take Yellowfang in like they captured her, to get Broken Star and all of his warriors to come out of their dens and everything. And then the ThunderClan cats will come in and basically fight the warriors, like those like elite warriors, and then drive them out and get their kits back. So that's when Firepaw ends up, he's like straight up about to kill Clawface, and then Winterstorm is like, no, we don't do that unless we absolutely have to. We just need them to never ever come back. And then you also find out, as Yellowfang is attacking Broken Star, that Broken Star actually killed his dad so that he could be leader. And that he admits that he killed the 2 kids. So then, all of the rest of Shadow Clan turn on him. And he's basically like, oh, you can't kill me, I have 9 lives. But all of the Shadow Clan cats run him out of their territory. And then, they get their kids back. The Thunder Clan gets their kids back. Yellowfang helps, like, you know, make sure everybody's okay. And, like, tends to their wounds. And then White Storm invites her to come back with, the Thunder Clan, back to Thunder Clan camp. And he also tells the rest of Shadow Clan that they will leave them alone for a moon, like, until the next full moon, because he sees how, like, starving and just real messed up Shadow Clan is because of Broken Star, and so they can take this moon to, like, get their strength back up and, like, figure their stuff out, and Thunder Clan isn't going to mess with them. So they get back to be honest, the warriors don't need to kill to win their battles rule in the warrior code really could have prevented so many things if the rule just didn't exist. I 100% agree. And I think, like, it's really interesting. Like, I think it is one of those things of, like, and something that I think gets struggled with a lot, right? I think even in, like, especially in real life, like, there is this narrative that if you kill a bad person, that makes you just as bad as them. And I am here to say, I disagree. Some people shouldn't be around. And I think that holds true in this book. If they had just killed Broken Star at that point, yeah, it would have been difficult, but there was enough of them. They could have done it. And, like, it would have been fine. But, if they had just, like, killed him, then it would have been fine. And it, again, we're just talking about this book right now, but let's be real. It's gonna come back. He's gonna come back. It's gonna be a problem. So anyway, they get back to ThunderClan camp, and the kids are reunited with their mom. White Storm tells Blue Star what happened, and that guy too, LOL. And so they basically Blue Star invites Yellowfang to be the ThunderClan medicine cat now that Spotted Leaf is gone, and Yellowfang accepts with the approval of all of the queens, because Yellowfang has proven that she will protect their kids. She also promotes Greypaw and Firepaw, 2 warriors. They are done with their apprentice training, so they are now Grey Stripe and Fireheart. And and then Tiger Claw goes and makes a little comment about, oh, where's Ravenpaw? How convenient that he just disappeared at the same time that Broken Star disappeared. And Fireheart, of course, he's still Firepaw when Tiger Claw makes this comment. Very pointedly is like, if you're trying to insinuate that he was a traitor, he's not. We found him dead in Shadow Clan territory. And then Tiger Claw's like, I never said he was a traitor, and tries to, like, acts all sad that his apprentice died. Even though, like, he don't care. He's a jerk. We don't like him. But yes, and then they are promoted to, or they become warriors, and as is tradition for the first night, after they're promoted warriors, they have to sit silent vigil and guard the camp with just the two of them. And that is how the book ends. That's how this book ends. So I love how nobody questions Raven Paw's death, nor do they attempt to find a body. Yeah, right? Like, everyone just is like, okay, he's dead. Let's move on. We're not gonna, like, try to recover his body. We're not gonna ask any questions. Especially because, the three of them left the camp together. So, like, what would have happened that they separated and then found his body? Like, no questions are asked. There is no follow-up. We're just, yep, okay, he died. And we're not gonna try to get his body back for any of that. Yes, okay, so, yeah, I can go ahead and read the last paragraph. So, so this is as Firepaw is settling into his vigil, he notices that Tiger Claw is staring at him. And it says, Fireheart stared back without blinking. He was a warrior now. He had made an enemy of the clan's deputy, but Tiger Claw had made an enemy of him. Fireheart was not the same naive young cat who had joined the clan all those moons ago. He was bigger, stronger, faster, and wiser. If he was destined to oppose Tiger Claw, then so be it. Fireheart was ready for the challenge. And, like, honestly, the writing of this book is insane. For a children's book, like, for a children's book, this is wild. So there is a time jump. I know there's a time jump from when, like, he first joins them, and then it's, like, 2 moons later, that is his first, like, solo apprentice task, when he meets Yellowfang. Okay, it's 6 moons. Rip, I can't see the. Oh no, okay, hold on, I'll read it again. I mean, I mainly read it for you, Squish, so I'll read it again. Everyone gets to hear it read a second time. Have fun with that. Fireheart stared back without blinking. He was a warrior now. He had made an enemy of the clan's deputy, but Tiger Claw had made an enemy of him. Fireheart was not the same naive young cat who had joined the clan all those moons ago. He was bigger, stronger, faster, and wiser. If he was destined to oppose Tiger Claw, then so be it. Fireheart was ready for the challenge. And, like, it is very interesting, the word choice of, destined to oppose Tiger Claw. And, like, it's something that's very interesting. And, again, one of those things that is, like, this fantasy element, to, like, the books, where, like, you have these prophecies, right? Like, you get this first prophecy that, like, fire will save the clan. And then, like, again, this element of, like, destiny, and, like, he is destined to oppose Tiger Claw. That I think is so, like, interesting to, you know, think of, like, he was just a random cat, guys. He was just a random house cat that wandered into the forest one day. And Blue Star saw him and was like, that's the fire that's gonna save us. Let's go. Um, but yes, so I think, like we talked about, this book does such a good job of having multiple threads that are all happening at the same time. And it's not super crazy or all over the place. And any of them. Yeah, again, literally, like, I don't know if you were here at the very beginning, Kameko, when I was talking about how, like, literally Blue Star's pitch for Firepaw joining the clan is like, hey, you might die of starvation or the elements, but, like, at least you get to keep your balls. That seems like a fair trade. And I think it's very, very funny. But this book, again, for a children's book, has such, like, complex, storylines and tropes and all these things. And it's such a good, like, I think it's a really good introduction to, like, the fantasy genre for kids that are, like, just starting to really read on their own. And it does, I think noticing how detailed and, like, complex the, like, culture, like, the exploration of cultures in this book is really interesting to kind of think about, like, how I then grew up to be very interested in, like, anthropology and, like, understanding other cultures and all of these things. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't know, like, again, like, I get it's a children's book, but some of the things I'm like, I don't know that's kid friendly. I don't know about that, but anyway. um it's very, I think it does a really good job of, like, crafting the characters and making you get attached to them. So then you again do have these very sad deaths. And, like, even in this book, like, Lionheart, and especially, like, Greypaw's reaction to Lionheart's death is devastating. Like, it genuinely is, like, it is, like, reminiscent of, like, a child losing a parent. This just, like, dejected, like, almost like you almost, like, Firepaw, like, almost watches him, like, sink into a depression. And it's just, it is heart-wrenching. It's, ugh, but it's so good. It's such a good book, and I really do love it, and I'm so glad that I read it again. Like, I'm so glad that I was able to, like, notice things that I didn't notice when I was younger, and, like, really engage with it in a different way, and I think, like, that's kind of what I'm really hoping to get out of a lot of this, like, nostalgia book club, is being able to read books that I've read numerous times, because I always reread books. And kind of engage with them in a way that I wasn't able to when I was younger, because I didn't have the same understanding of the world and vocabulary. I am going to read the first series of this. I'm going to read The Prophecies Begin for the Nostalgia Book Club. And then probably after I finish all of the other books on the list for the Nostalgia Book Club, I will read more of the series. Yeah. I definitely agree. I think a lot of children's books have a tendency to like get again like treat kids like they're stupid. And I think that like that is one of the things that I really loved about this book, and I think the reason that I did engage with it so much when I was younger is because it doesn't do that. It has a lot of complex themes that you can really like dig into, and like we talked about a little bit about some of them, like the culture and the kind of like the culture shock for Firepaw when he goes from being a kitty pet to living with the clans, and the like kind of like loyalty and the code, the warrior code. Go back to middle school when I was reading these books and told my teacher I was turning into a cat because I was so into the books. Listen, we've all been there. We've all been there. It's so nice like returning to books that I really did like love as a kid, especially when it's not like, I'll be honest, because I did start rereading Twilight, and there's a lot of things in that book that are questionable, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But I think this book does a good job of like it's not as icky. Literally scratching each other. The teacher's banned it. Oh no. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no. I think we just like I feel like we didn't Squish and I were not very active children, and so a lot of our stuff was like writing or telling each other stories, or Squish tried to teach me how to draw and that not going well. But yeah, I think perfectly. You know, I don't know if I still have any of those papers, because there's a good possibility that somewhere in my parents' house is the Fat Chikorita. And if I can find that, I'll post pictures, because it's pretty entertaining. We're peeing in horse land and they indoctrinated me into the goal. But I'm so glad that we all like have this shared kind of like just memory of like engaging with these books and loving them and having, you know, like our own take. Like it really, listen, we were out here writing fan fiction before we knew what AO3 was. And listen, yeah, I think this is definitely a book that shaped me quite a bit. Like I said, like I think this does such a good job of showing true empathy and like compassion that a lot of like I think a lot of kids that engaged with this book when they were younger like come out of it with an understanding of how to relate to people that are different than them. And maybe that's putting a little too much faith in other people. But at least the people that I've met that have loved this, I think that holds true. Media, like, shonen, stuff like, it's very open to creative participation. Oh my gosh, wait, guys, hold on, hold on. A Warriors D&D campaign? A Warriors D&D campaign? Do we want to... Would anyone want to do that? Would anyone want to participate? You don't have to participate, Haywire. It was just a thought. No, it's fine. I can DM it maybe after I read the books again. I mean, you can participate, Haywire. Listen, you're absolutely allowed to participate, but you don't have to. I just want you to know that. But I would love for you to participate if you want to. Yeah, I think it would be really fun. So maybe that's something we can give a try. Maybe just like a little one shot. Maybe just like a little one shot. Yay! I'm actually excited for that one, and I have a lot of ideas for that campaign idea. But anyway, yes, absolutely. Actually, honestly, Squish, if you want to play, or if you want to like, if you wanted to try your hand at DMing, because I feel like you do know the material very well, that's cool too. Listen, I'm here for it. So, yeah, I think that's really all I've got for, I would be open to that. Yeah, okay, absolutely. So anyone that wants to join the Warriors D&D, just, you know, put it in my general that you would be down, and Squish, I'll get at ya. So thank you all so much for joining. This has been super, super fun. I can't wait for the second book. So yes, honestly, these books are small enough that I am confident I can finish book 2 by next Wednesday. So, barring any crazy things coming up, we will have book 2, Fire and Ice, next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Once again, oh my gosh, actually, also, you know, as I'm looking at this, it just reminds me, like, Fire and Ice is such a funny, like, it's so funny that it's called Fire and Ice, because, like, you know, the whole, like, all of the Game of Thrones, like, A Song of Fire and Ice. Anyway, yay! Okay, awesome. So, oh, there's an ad running. I'm gonna, like, just kind of chill until, okay, wait. I'm sure there's a Warrior Cats D&D supplement somewhere. Honestly, I would not be surprised. I feel like people supplement stuff all the time. And yeah, so absolutely, I think this could be super, super fun. I would love to stream it if you guys would be open to that. And yeah, uh, drop in my general chat if you would be interested in joining, and um, I'll talk to Squish about some things, and we can try to set something up. I think it would be super fun. Um, and now, well, now I'm gonna have to make it. Now I'm gonna have to make a character. Oh my gosh, really? That's amazing. We'll look at some stuff. We'll look at some stuff. They had game forever, so. Uh, okay. But yes, thank you guys so much for joining. This has been super, super fun. And like I said, I can't wait for next week when we're going to talk about book 2. And we will definitely, look at setting up a Warriors D&D campaign. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Okay. So thank you guys for joining me, and I will see you all later. Oh, real quick, if anybody knows what no, I forgot what I was gonna say. So anyway, thank you again for joining me. Everyone have a good night. Bye.